Welcome to the Maldives, home to white sandy beaches, beautiful turquoise waters, and the world's only all-premium leisure commercial carrier, BeOnd. Today I'm going to be trying out this airline to see how it stacks up against its legacy competitors. Follow me as we explore this airline all the way from Malé to Zurich.
So as this is the Maldives, our trip actually started out at our resort, Jawali Being, where we had to catch an early morning seaplane direct to Malé's sea terminal, a short car ride to the main international airport. Travelling on an all-business carrier, we were able to bypass the long security queues to enter the terminal, utilising the first and business class lane. BeOnd only needs one check-in desk, and check-in was a breeze, taking just seconds, which was a clear advantage above the legacy carriers such as Emirates and BA, who had lengthy queues, even in first class, to check in. Before we knew it, it was up through security and passport control and into the terminal. There's only one lounge in the Maldives, which we've covered before, the Lilai Lounge. Although it's in the process of being expanded to make up for the increased passenger volumes using the airport. It's spacious and pretty simply kitted out. Seas of seats in rows makes for a comfortable enough wait, and there is a business centre of sorts, along with a small buffet area featuring a few hot and cold dishes and a range of soft drinks. There's even a no-alcohol beer option, but don't expect any spirits or wines here, being a Muslim country. The lounge also gave us the first view of our small yet beautiful A319, BeOnd's only current aircraft in service. Wanting to get a good view of it first, we headed to the gate area downstairs, which had a completely empty boarding gate, yet another one of the great advantages of a long-haul flight kitted out with just 44 seats. Approximately 45 minutes before departure boarding commenced, I took a bus for the very short trip to the aircraft that was glistening in the sun, waiting for us to board. The aircraft has an iconic livery, so much so that every airport we flew into, there was a team of ground staff with their phones out trying to capture this really rare bird. The entire brand was brought to life by Paul Wilde, the same design agency that has worked on things such as Hawaiian, British Airways, and even Concorde in the past. There's no doubt, being a black livery with these gorgeous rose gold details, this certainly feels like a private jet. On boarding, the black gives way to an off-white, luxurious leather interior that's anything but dark and moody. This fresh, bright white interior again exudes jet-set glamour, and by offering a 2x2 configuration, is perfectly set up for the leisure market. Every single guest on board was either a couple or a family, so these seats offer the perfect setup for them. The seats themselves are designed by Optimaires, and while they're certainly stylish, they are pretty simple. There's no privacy dividers or in-flight entertainment screens built into the seats. These are lightweight, simple shells, albeit custom for the airline, but that doesn't mean they aren't luxuriously appointed. The seats all feature a luxury fleece blanket embossed with a BeOnd motif and a comfortable pillow, which is then covered in a pillowcase for sleep. And because there's no footwell to place your feet, it's actually fairly comfortable to sleep in. One issue is just that the bed is a little bit too short, but I've been told by the airline this will be fixed in the upcoming new deliveries, and seats will feature a longer bed by a few inches, which will make all the difference. There are a variety of seat controls, making it easy to get comfortable, and there is the seat power and USB-C charging. The tray table comes out of the centre divide and is large and sturdy. And beside the seat is a small pocket area which you can store your phone, menu and other slim bits and pieces. In between the seats is a small cocktail table, although it's already starting to show a bit of wear and tear. And every passenger is given an iPad Pro in a leather wallet, which acts as your IFE throughout the flight. But you don't have to just keep on holding it. There is this small iPad holder that pops out of the center console, just like Optimair's Hawaiian A330 seats. That aside, this is a highly tech affair with Beats wireless headphones, and because of that, you are provided with an instruction card on how to use pretty much everything. But sadly, there is no Wi-Fi available. As everyone settled into their seats, we were offered a range of healthy drinks, including juices and detoxes. After that, we were provided the menu, which offered 2 meal services, one on the first flight from Male to Dubai and one on the second leg from Dubai to Zurich. Yes, that's right. This aircraft has to make a pit stop, as it's actually an old EasyJet aircraft and doesn't have the range to make the flight direct. It's perhaps the only major drawback in an otherwise excellent product. Once everyone settled in, we pushed back, made our way to the runway and took off over the always stunning Indian Ocean. Funnily enough, this is a common sight for all of the passengers looking out the window, either landing or taking off into the Maldives. After all, the window makes for much better entertainment in such a stunning country. After takeoff, I explored the amenities, which included an amenity kit with moisturiser, pillow and face mists, and the usual bits and pieces. Face masks were also available on request. Shortly after takeoff, we were served a welcome drink, which happened to be a glass of chilled Veuve Clicquot with some nuts. It was at this point you can't help but notice the beautifully designed serviceware by William Edwards and Chiliwich, brought to life by Clip. I have to say, I love the service design, and the whole setup is very premium. It is actually on par with some of the best business classes out there, verging on first class in some regards. Shortly after our tables were laid, I was offered the starter, a wonderful Maldivian tuna carpaccio. Although I did get plate envy as my partner opted for the goose liver pate with vanilla panna cotta, which was outstanding. Look at this gorgeous cutlery, buffed within an inch of its life. There was no plate envy for main courses, as we both opted for the lobster tail with caviar, which even makes Qatar Airways or Singapore Airlines look weak. This, by far, was the highlight of our entire trip. The desserts were just as tasty and certainly filled us up on this 4-hour hop to Dubai World Central Airport. About 2 hours into the flight, the service settled down, allowing me to settle into the iPad, which featured 40 or so movies and a handful of TV shows. It's not the best IFE, and the airline could certainly cater a bit more entertainment, but it was just enough to keep me entertained, even as a frequent traveller. I reclined the bed and settled in. As you can see, at 5'10", the bed is just about long enough to relax in. I could have gained a couple more inches by shuffling up a bit, but it was adequate enough. As there was a bit of turbulence on this sector, I was offered tea and biscuits for the remainder of the flight in this gorgeous branded paper cup. As the first leg came to a close, I couldn't help but notice the cabin wasn't as private as I hoped, but everyone very much kept themselves to themselves, and prior to arrival in Dubai, I was offered a hot towel to freshen up before landing. And upon landing, we taxied to a remote stand where the crew was changed and the aircraft was refueled. Whilst on the ground, one advantage is we didn't need to leave the plane, and with just 45 minutes from landing to take off again, it was just enough time to check out the toilet with my wireless headphones that still played the music from my iPad. It was a nice touch. And I had another refreshing drink on the ground. Before we knew it, we were pushing back and racing off to Zurich, which was a mammoth 7 hours thanks to some pretty strong headwinds. After takeoff, it was time for a second meal, which was preceded by some after takeoff drinks and more nuts. It's a shame really that the second service isn't a little later into the flight, as everyone had only eaten just a few hours before. But the food was just as good as the first sector, continuing a feast for the eyes and stomach. I opted for the Japanese salad, which was light and zesty, while the salmon with pickled fennel was delicious as well. For mains, both the chicken and beef dishes were delicious, yet didn't pack the same wow factor as the lobster, but that's a tough course to follow. Yet more desserts and a few cheeses completed the banquet, leaving us just roughly 5 hours to rest up and settle into a few good movies with that luxurious blanket and a pretty delicious gin and tonic. The one thing that I do love about this cabin being so open is that the sunset really fills the cabin and is really quite magical. And it was a delight to be able to watch the sunset over the Middle East as we made our way into Europe. Opting for a little bit more shut-eye before landing, the crew were keen to make my bed for me, which featured a mattress topper and bedding, which was accompanied by a herbal tea to set me off to sleep. Before I knew it, we were just an hour or so away from Zurich. And as such, the crew got the cabin ready for landing, handing out these lovely thank you cards, which is a nice touch for a relatively new airline to try and build brand loyalty. As we came into land, I couldn't help feel encouraged and supportive of this upstart carrier. Seat length and stopover in Dubai aside, they've got all the makings of a great product. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet, which is the airline's superpower, is their crew. There are just 40 or so crew within the airline, and they work like a tight-knit team, making sure any guest request is catered for. This is by all accounts a private jet experience at a business class price. And at the time of publishing, you can book for around €2,000 return from Munich and a similar price from Zurich to Male. That takes some beating. Thanks again for watching. Let me know if you would take BeOnd for a spin in the comments below, and I hope to see you on one of my flights soon.
Second time we see each other.
Nice to have you.
In the meantime, safe flying.